Part 48. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 471. In this way, even if Lu Feng fails to ask Li Jiancheng to kill Li Shimin as planned, Li Yuan's sons and even his civil servants and generals will take sides in advance, thereby dividing their strength. From this point of view, when Lu Feng decided to let himself be the traitor, it was already destined that the relationship between Li Jiancheng and Li Shimin had broken down. Regardless of whether he succeeds, fails, or betrays the Dragon Kingdom, if he tells Li Jiancheng, Li Yuan, and others about this plan, the result will be the same. This is the real conspiracy, killing two birds with one stone and killing two birds with one stone. There is no way to avoid it. And by that time, Li Tang, who had been divided from within, was naturally no match for the Dragon Kingdom. In the end, the world still belonged to the Dragon Emperor, and he would return to the Dragon Kingdom sooner or later. In this case, Lu Feng doesn't have to worry about betraying the Dragon Kingdom. When he is defeated and captured, Lu Feng doesn't have to make excuses if he wants to kill him. If he wants to keep his life, it will show his strength even more. Being generous is killing two birds with one stone. With Wei Zheng's intelligence, he naturally figured out the pros and cons in an instant, and was even more frightened by Lu Feng's city government and plans. Lu Feng took advantage of his own resourcefulness, and he came up with such a perfect countermeasure without any other advisors providing him with advice. With this talent and strategy, the Dragon Emperor will be 100 times, 1,000 times better than Li Yuan. As for Li Jiancheng and Li Shimin, his opponent had already studied them so thoroughly, but they still knew nothing about the Dragon Emperor. With such a comparison between the two, it becomes clear who wins and who loses. No, it should be said that Li Yuan is not qualified to compare with Long Ti at all. Afterwards, Wei Zheng sighed softly and said to Lu Feng, "Since your majesty trusts Zheng so much, even if Zheng cannot guarantee success, he will definitely do his best." After hearing Wei Zheng's words, Lu Feng immediately smiled and said, "Yes, I am relieved by Suan Ken's words. I really believe that as long as you go all out, you will be able to do it." Wei Zheng finally said, "In this case, I won't say more, but Li Yuanji and Li Yuanba's vanguard army, it has already gone south and will surely arrive in Yangzhou soon. Please make preparations as soon as possible." "Your Majesty," Lu Feng still smiled and replied, "I already know about this matter. You don't need to pay attention to the war between Li Tang and the Dragon Kingdom. They are not my opponents, you just need to complete the task with peace of mind." After hearing this, Wei Zheng said no more, bowed 3 times to Lu Feng, turned around, left Yangzhou, and set off for Taiyuan. After Wei Zheng left, Lu Feng was not idle. He transferred back the troops guarding the hinterland of Zhonghui. Although these troops were surrendered troops after coming to the world of Sui and Tang dynasties, they could still build up their momentum. At the same time, because Shan Xiangxin had gone to Yizhang to help Guojia attack Liang State, Lu Feng had already asked Guojia to transfer Huang Zhong back in his letter to Guojia. He believed that Huang Zhong would return in a few days. Yangzhou. In the next 2 days, Long Guo had been preparing for the battle with Li Tang, and Huang Zhong also returned to Yangzhou in the afternoon of the next day. On the third day, Li Yuanji and Li Yuanba's Li Tang vanguard force had arrived 30 miles outside Yangzhou city. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 472. As early as when Emperor Yang of Sui dynasty was around, Li Yuan, although he did not raise an army to rebel, had already begun secretly recruiting troops to develop his own power. Now, as he has eliminated more and more princes, the entire north has been basically included in his pocket, so the number of his soldiers has long surpassed other forces in the world, becoming the prince with the most troops. And with more troops, he can defeat other princes more calmly and easily, forming a virtuous cycle. Now, Li Yuan has decided to go to war with the most mysterious and powerful dragon kingdom in the world besides him. Naturally, he will not be stingy with his troops. Although Li Yuanba and Li Yuanji are only leading the vanguard army, there are three full 100,000 people. Li Tang's army was not only large in number, but Li Yuan did not know whether it was because he knew that the Dragon Kingdom had many powerful generals, or because he wanted to show off the strength of his men. He actually incorporated all the generals that Li Tang could handle into the vanguard army. In addition to Li Yuanba, the Wuji general, Wei Wentung, Master Shang and disciple Shang, Xian Wenli and Qi Rui, one of the 9 elders of the Kai Sui dynasty, were also sent over. After the death of the patron King Yang Lin and the Sui dynasty, the 4 of them were desperate and took refuge in Tangkuagong Li Yuan, who had not yet become king at that time. Li Yuan, Qi Rui and others were officials in the Sui dynasty. They were familiar with each other and had some friendship. They knew that they were all rare strong generals in the world. Wei Wentung, Master Shang, and Xian Wenli respectively ranked among the 18 strong generals in the world. 9th, 10th, and 11th. Now, Li Yuanba and Luo Cheng, who are ranked 1st and 7th in the rankings before them, have all died in battle. It can be said that they are now theoretically the world's generals. Although Qi Rui is not one of the 9 elders of the Kai Sui dynasty among the 18 heroes in the world, his own martial arts is also very strong, and he is also Master Shang, so his martial arts skills are naturally good. Therefore, Li Yuan seemed very happy that his former colleagues took the initiative to join him. Not only did he accept them all, but he also assigned them important positions in his army. Apart from himself and his sons, these 4 people were the highest-ranking generals in the army. With Li Yuanba and Wei Wentung in the army, and an elite army of 300,000, Li Yuanji was naturally more confident and wanted to capture Yangzhou before Li Yuan's main army of Li Tang arrived. Lu Feng stood on the city wall and watched Li Tang's vanguard army from a distance as they arrived outside the city. He felt very calm. Although he knew that there were many people on the other side and there were infinite warriors like Li Yuanba, he did not have any worry. After all, he has reached the level of the Supreme Tiger General, and even Li Yuanba is far from his opponent. However, Lu Feng was not proud of this and only sent Zhao Yun, Lu Buletin, and others to meet the enemy. Instead, he personally led the army out of the city and left 100,000 Sui surrender troops in Yangzhou city to defend the city. Although these 100,000 troops have completely surrendered to the Dragon Kingdom, Lu Feng did not allow them to enter the transfer hall for transfer because their military strength was too low. Even if they were transferred, they would only be equivalent to the regular army of the first-level arms. Lu Feng's main opponent, Li Tang's army, was already an elite army equivalent to the second-level arms. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 473. Therefore, even if they were given job transfers, they would not be a match for Li Tang's army and would waste a lot of job transfer points. Therefore, Lu Feng did not send these people to the job transfer hall. Job. It is precisely because of this that this 100,000 strong army will not be of much use against Li Yuanji's Li Tang pioneer army. They will be massacred by the Li army if they go out to fight. It is not as useful as leaving them in the city to defend the city. On Lu Feng's side, guarded by the 5 dragon generals Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Lu Buletin, and Huang Zhong, they were waiting for the arrival of Li Tang's army at the foot of Yangzhou city. These 4 people happened to be lined up on the left and right of Lu Feng, and their personal guards were also in the same position as them. 3,000 red-blooded dragon cavalry were in the middle, White Horse Yi Kong, Longwu soldiers, Bingzhou Wolf cavalry and Long Gong. The soldiers were arranged on the left and right. Because Huang Zhong had already rushed back from Yuzhang County and brought back the Longbowmen, Guojie did not have a powerful king's division, so when Shan Xiangxin rushed to Yuzhang, Lu Feng asked him to take Ma Chao's Dragon City. The cavalry was brought over together. A quarter of an hour later, Li Yuanba and Li Yuanji brought 300,000 Li Tang's troops to the front of the formation, facing the Dragon Kingdom's army at a distance. Li Yuanba looked at the Dragon Kingdom's camp and recognized at a glance that the general with the most powerful aura was Dragon Emperor Lu Feng, surrounded by all the generals like stars over the moon. So before Li Yuanji, the commander of Li Tang's vanguard army, could speak, Li Yuanba shouted to Lu Feng, Emperor Longguo, "I heard that you killed Yuan Chengdu with 4 moves. It happened that Yuanba defeated him that year. We only used 3 moves. We should be about the same strength. Do you dare to come out and challenge Yuanba to see if you can catch Yuanba?" Lu Feng listened to Li Yuanba's challenge, smiled slightly, and then, "It's just a hammer, why wouldn't I dare to take it? Let alone 2 hammers, I can catch even 10 hammers or 100 hammers." Li Yuanba saw that Lu Feng was not afraid of him and accepted his challenge. He danced excitedly and was about to rush out to challenge Lu Feng. But at this time, Li Yuanji grabbed Yuanba and shouted to him, "Fourth brother is back. I am the commander of this army. You cannot go into battle without my order." Li Yuanba has been looking forward to this day for a long time. Now he finally has the opportunity to fight Lu Feng. He was already very excited, so he was very dissatisfied with Li Yuanji for stopping him. He turned back and glared at Li Yuanji with anger on his face. Although Li Yuanji is Li Yuanba, however, the two of them did not deal with each other. At this time, Li Yuanji felt guilty after being glared at by him, and hurriedly said, "Fourth brother, have you forgotten that the second brother told you to obey me in everything before setting off?" After hearing what Li Yuanji said, Li Yuanba put away the anger on his face, lowered his head, and whispered, "If the second brother hadn't told Yuanba to listen to you, Yuanba wouldn't bother to care about you." Because of Li Yuanba's strange illness in childhood, his intelligence has always been that of a 3 or 4-year-old child, and his strength is huge, so Li Yuanji looks down on the monster like Li Yuanba. Therefore, Li Yuanba does not like Li Yuanji. In his eyes, he is the only his parents and second brother Li Shimin were his relatives, and he didn't care about other people. Although Li Yuanji also heard what Li Yuanba whispered, he ignored it and turned to Wei Wentung, Master Shang, Xi and Wenli, and Qi Rui said, "You first go and give the generals of the Dragon Kingdom a warning and let them know the strength of the Tang dynasty." Underscore. Feeler reminds you, 3 things to do when reading, collect and recommend. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 474. Although Wei Wentung, Master Shang, Xi and Wenli, and Qi Rui are good at martial arts in this world, and even after the death of Wu Yunzhao and others, there are only a handful of people who are better than them, but there must be a huge gap between the generals of the Dragon Kingdom. After all, whether it is Zhao Yun or Ma Chao, they are both people who can challenge Wu Yunzhao and Wu Tiangzi without falling behind, and Lu Buletin can even tie with Yuan Chengdu. Not only Wei Wentung, Master Shang, and others knew this, but even Li Yuanji himself had a clear mind, but he still issued this order, which naturally had his purpose. The 4 masters and disciples of Wei Wentung and his disciples came to join Li Tang. Firstly, they came because after the death of Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty, Li Yuan, the Duke of Tang, was the most powerful prince in the Sui dynasty, but they came because of their acquaintance with Li Yuan. As for coming to Li Tang, because Li Yuan established the Tang dynasty and ascended the throne as emperor, the relationship between them and Li Yuan was no longer equal as before, but became the relationship between the emperor and his ministers, so there was naturally some alienation. But as they stayed in Li Tang for longer and longer, they were gradually attracted by the magnanimity of Li Yuan's second son, Li Shimin, and their relationship with Li Shimin became closer and closer, and they almost became Li Shiman's right-hand man. Although Li Shiman and Li Jiancheng still maintained a brotherly relationship on the surface, they had been secretly fighting for the position of prince for a long time. As for Li Yuanji, although the outside world doesn't know much about the conflicts between Li Jiancheng and Li Shiman, as their younger brother, he is naturally well aware of it. In addition, he had been close to Li Jiancheng since he was a child, so he naturally turned to Li Jiancheng at this time. Therefore, he merged with the four people including Wei Wentung, monk and apprentice who secretly took refuge in Li Shiman. At this time, since Li Yuan ordered him to be the commander of the pioneer army and sent Master Shang and his disciples to the pioneer army, Li Yuanji naturally wanted to take this opportunity to kill people with a knife and use the power of the Dragon Kingdom to get rid of the four of them. As for these four people's powerful force, Li Tang's lack of them and how much his strength would be affected are not within the scope of Li Yuanji's consideration at this moment. After all, the only thought in his mind now is to help his eldest brother eliminate as many potential enemies as possible and help him become the prince so that he can inherit the great cause in the future. Master Shang and the other four people were shocked by Li Yuanji's order. After all, everyone knew that the Dragon Kingdom had at least 5 powerful generals with extraordinary strength, and adding a Dragon Emperor was even more unfathomable. Under such circumstances, as the coach Li Yuanji still insisted on letting 4 of himself take action, which was unreasonable. The correct approach should be to directly send the nearly invincible Li Yuanba to directly destroy the morale of the Dragon Kingdom, and then launch an attack with the entire army. After all, Li Yuanba himself has already asked for a fight. Obviously, Li Yuanji's move was a deliberate act of revenge. Although the 4 of them had just joined Li Tang, they had already been in the officialdom for more than 10 years, so they could easily see the contradiction between Li Jiancheng and Li Shiman. Therefore, after they had just surrendered to Li Tang and figured out the situation, they immediately worshipped the dock and took refuge under Li Shiman, taking him as their master. Originally, they were supposed to go with Li Shiman to conquer Liang Shidu and others, but Li Yuanji asked Li Yuan to ask them to be seconded to Li Yuanba's vanguard army. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 475. The 4 of them naturally knew that Li Yuanji and Li Shiman would not deal with each other, so they were already prepared to be cheated by Li Yuanji before they came. At this time, since Li Yuanji had ordered him to take the lead in fighting, Master Shang, his disciples, and the other 4 people were reluctant to step forward to fight the Dragon Kingdom, but as the commander-in-chief, how could they resist once the military order came out? After all, it is a taboo for military strategists to resist orders on the spot. I will continue to hang out in Li Tang from now on. If I offend Li Yuanji because of a small problem at this time, even Li Yuan will not be able to protect them. So the 4 of them looked at each other and had no choice but to agree. Anyway, they knew that they could never defeat the generals of the Dragon Kingdom, but with their own strength, if they wanted to escape, there should be no big problem. The worst thing is, if you can't win, just run away. Thinking of this, the 4 people took the order and said in unison, I obey my orders. After the 4 people finished speaking, they rode out and rushed to the open space between the 2 armies, facing each other. The army of the Dragon Kingdom called the formation and said, we are the pioneer generals of the Tang dynasty, Wei Wentung, Master Shang, and disciple, Xi and Wenli, and Qi Rui. Who among you dares to go out to fight with us? Lu Feng originally thought that Li Yuanba had finished shouting. He would definitely rush up to challenge him, so he was ready to rush out, but he didn't expect that Wei Wentung and 4 others would come out of the opponent's formation. These 4 people were the famous generals of the Sui dynasty except for the patron King Yang Lin. After Yu Wenhua and Regicide established themselves, the 4 of them were not with Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty. Unexpectedly, they later turned to Li Yuan. However, although the four of them have extremely strong martial arts and are ranked as masters in this world, Lu Feng does not take them seriously, at least they have no chance to fight against Lu Feng. Lu Feng didn't need to say this himself, Zhao Yun and others already knew this. So Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Lu Buletin, and Huang Zhong informed Lu Feng and rushed out on horseback. Dian Wei held a pair of black iron halberds, Zhao Yun held a gentian silver spear, Lu Buletin naturally had Fang Tian's painted halberd, and Huang Zhong held a red blood sword. The four generals came out together and shouted at Master Shang and his disciples, "Don't be so arrogant, let us fight you." As they spoke, the four of them rushed in front of Wei Wentong, each found one person, and started fighting in pairs. Wei Wentong's gangster nickname was Huidao Dashui. Because he had a face like heavy jujubes and a long beard of 5 willows, he was called Sai Guanyet. With a green dragon sword, he looked like the reincarnation of Guan Yu. However, as a top super general, the gap between him and Guan Yu in history may be very small, but what he faced was Lu Buletin, who even the real Guan Yu could not beat, and it was Lu Buletin who had been promoted to a higher level by the transfer hall. Therefore, the gap between the two was too huge. They only met each other. When he wanted to use a move to split Huashan, he was split in half by Lu Buletin with a halberd and a knife. Master and disciple Na Shang possessed 4 treasures, but they were useless in front of Zhao Yun. Before the 120-pound furnace spear could be used, Zhao Yun's bright silver spear pierced the 7-feathered armor, which was said to be invulnerable. As for Xi and Wenli, although he claimed to have the power to push 8 horses horizontally, he was vulnerable to Dian Wei's double halberds and was killed by Dian Wei in just one encounter. The veteran Qi Rui faced off against the veteran Huang Zhong, but before the white dragon silver spear had a chance to take action, Huang Zhong's red blood knife cut off his head first. Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 476. Wei Wentong, the master and apprentice of the 4 famous generals of the Sui dynasty, was forced to go out to meet the enemy under pressure from Li Yuanji. They originally planned to run away if they could not win. But after the 2 sides fought, Wei Wentong and the other 4 discovered that they were far from being their opponents. They didn't even have time to escape. As soon as this thought arose, they were already killed one after another. Li Yuanji naturally knew that the generals of the Dragon Kingdom were very strong, otherwise he would not have sent Master Shang and his disciples to kill people with borrowed knives. However, Li Yuanji did not expect that they would not be able to block even one of the opponent's moves and would be killed directly. After all, the military power of Wei Wentong, Master Shang, Xi and Wenli, and Qi Rui could be said to be unmatched by anyone in Li Tang's army except Li Yuanba. Although Li Yuanji wanted them to die, he didn't want them to die so quickly. He originally thought that with the strength of Master Shang and the other 4 people, even if they were killed, they would drag on the opponent for at least 100 or 10 rounds. Even if they could not hurt the opponent before death, they should be able to consume the opponent's physical strength and let him continue. The offense can gain a little advantage. However, he still underestimated the strength of the Dragon Kingdom and the martial arts of Zhao Yun and others. He did not know that with the strength of their top peerless generals or even half-step Wuji generals, they wanted to kill super generals or first-rate generals. Ida Euro trademark is actually not laborious. But at this time, Li Yuanji suddenly felt very lucky. Fortunately, he brought this little monster Li Yuanba with him. Otherwise, not to mention that the vanguard army would definitely be defeated, and it would be a problem if he could not go back alive. Li Yuanji looked at Li Yuanba beside him. Although he had looked down on him since childhood, he had to admit that in terms of force, he had never seen anyone stronger than Li Yuanba. As long as Li Yuanba is here, let alone Zhao Yun, Lu Buletin, and Dian Wei. Even if they come with 40 more people, they will definitely not be his opponents. Thinking of this, Li Yuanji no longer hesitated, turned to look at Li Yuanba and said, "Fourth brother, haven't you always wanted to compete with the Emperor of the Dragon Kingdom? Now I will give you this opportunity to smash them all to death." When Li Yuanba heard this, he was so excited that he said hello, picked up the drum, urn, and golden hammer, and rushed out while patting Wan Liyun. Just now, Lu Buletin and others instantly killed Wei Wentong and 4 others as soon as they took action. In the eyes of others, the strength of Lu Buletin and others was already terrifying, both in terms of speed and strength. They had reached the extreme. But in Li Yuanba's view, this was just a boring novice pecking each other. Watching their fight was like a slow-motion replay, without arousing any interest. But think about it, as the Wuji warrior, Li Yuanba is only one level higher than them, but as mentioned before, as the level increases, the understanding of martial arts and worldly rules required for breakthrough increases almost exponentially. There are so many third-rate military generals, and it is easy to break through to the second-rate generals with just diligent practice. And with some talents and opportunities, as well as more diligent training, it is not difficult to become a first-rate military general. But from a first-class general to a super general, the understanding of the rules required completely exceeds the difficulty of the previous breakthrough. It is precisely because of this that super generals are so rare. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 477. As for breaking through from a super general to a peerless general, it requires not only diligence, but more importantly, opportunity and talent. For example, during the 3 Kingdoms period, the truly peerless generals had extremely high martial arts talents and magical opportunities. As a representative of the peerless military generals at that time, Lu Buletin not only had experience accumulated while resisting foreign invasions in Bingzhou, but more importantly, he had talents that were different from ordinary people since he was a child. Wu Tugu was able to become a peerless general because he practiced hard for several years in a cave filled with miasma and filled with snakes and insects. He fed on poisonous insects and finally developed a body of scale armor that made him invulnerable. Therefore, it is very difficult to become a peerless military general. It can be said that there are 2 or 3 people in a period. In the prosperous and peaceful times, none of them may be found. This is a hurdle that countless generals cannot overcome in their lifetime. Once you get over it, it will be an earth-shaking change. As for the Wuji generals, their understanding of the rules of the world has reached an unprecedented level, and their martial arts have been able to cultivate their own Tao. Their skills are close to the Tao, nothing more than that. From ancient times to the present, there are only a handful of people who can become Wuji generals. At this time, there is Li Yuanba. If Lu Feng is not considered, the last person was Xiang Yu, the overlord of Western Chu who swallowed mountains and rivers. After Xiang Yu, it took nearly 1,000 years before one appeared. How much talent and ability does it take to do this? As for Lu Feng, he was able to surpass Wu General and become another supreme tiger general since King Wu conquered Zhou. He relied on the artifact of the transfer hall, not his own. With the existence of the transfer hall, you cannot relying on the understanding of powerful innate principles, it doesn't even require much effort. As long as you can complete the job transfer mission or get enough job transfer points by killing enemies, you can break through directly. Not only Lu Feng, but also all the martial arts in the Dragon Kingdom were able to successfully break through because of the Transformation Hall. After the breakthrough, the Transformation Hall would directly engrave the rules required for this realm in their minds. At this time, Li Yuanba finally got Li Yuanji's order, rode his horse to the Dragon Kingdom formation, brandished the drum, urn, and golden hammer, and said loudly, "You guys, come up together, and wait until Yuanba kills you with one hammer, Let the Emperor of the Dragon Kingdom take a few blows from you NBA. Lu Buletin was originally an invincible existence in the world of the Three Kingdoms. The only two defeats he had were to Lu Feng, who had the transfer palace in hand, and the other to Lu Feng, who had the transfer palace in hand. The demonized Wutu Bones. Therefore, under the conditions of a fair fight, he has never lost to anyone. When others hear Lu Buletin's name, they can't even hide. How could he have ever been treated with such contempt today? Dian Wei had a bad temper, and when he saw Li Yuanba despising him so much, he immediately became furious. As for Zhao Yun and Huang Zhong, although they were relatively more stable, Li Yuanba's words did make them feel huge insult. Thinking about it, not only were each of them invincible in their original world, but they had also achieved great fame after coming to this world. How could they be convinced now that they were so despised by Li Yuanba? In their opinion, they are already peerless generals. No matter how strong you, Li Yuanba, are, how is it possible to kill us instantly with one strike? So they all looked to Lu Feng and asked to fight. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 478. If other generals were so rampant, with the characters of Lu Buletin and Dian Wei, they would never ask Lu Feng for instructions, and they would have rushed out with weapons in hand. But at this time, the general fighting on the other side was Li Yuanba. Lu Feng had said several times that this Li Yuanba was the most powerful general in the Sui dynasty. Even Yuan Chengdu, whom everyone had fought before, could not take 3 moves under him. Therefore, Lu Feng had repeatedly emphasized to them that if they encountered Li Yuanba, they must not fight with him and just retreat. Precisely because Lu Feng often gave them instructions, they had to ask Lu Feng for instructions even if they wanted to go to war. And Lu Feng also knew that what Li Yuanba just said was too hurtful. Although he did have strength that Dian Wei and others could not defeat, Dian Wei and others had never really seen him take action, so they must be dissatisfied. The more capable a person is, the more arrogant and proud he is, and he will never allow others to look down on him. And Lu Buletin, Zhao Yun, and others happened to be very powerful. Although they knew that Yuan Chengdu could not take Li Yuanba's 3 moves, Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Huang Zhong, and Ma Chao once besieged Yuan Chengdu and fought with him. Now that Ma Chao is not here, but Lu Buletin can draw with Yuan Chengdu alone, these 4 people will definitely have the advantage against Yuan Chengdu together, so they will be even more angry at Li Yuanba's words. Lu Feng knew that if he went into battle, it would not be difficult to defeat Li Yuanba with his Supreme Tiger General status, but it would not be shocking enough in the eyes of Lu Buletin and others. If he doesn't let him go, even though they can follow the orders, they will definitely be unconvinced and even resentful. This is obviously not what Lu Feng wants to see. Therefore, Lu Feng thought again and again before saying, I know that Li Yuanba's words are indeed a bit excessive, and you must be dissatisfied. If I don't let you go into battle, you will be resentful. So, you want to fight Li Yuanba, and I am right, but there is one thing I must explain. When you face him, you must not have any contempt. You must be cautious and go all out. In addition, the 4 of you go into battle together. If Li Yuanba poses any threat to your lives, I will definitely intervene as soon as possible, rescue you and bring you back to the formation, and I will fight him personally. Lu Buletin and others did not expect that Lu Feng would allow them to fight Li Yuanba, so they were overjoyed at the moment and immediately rushed out on horseback. Li Yuanba waited outside the formation for a long time. He originally thought that the Dragon Emperor had promised to pick up his 3 hammers before and would definitely go out to fight. However, he did not expect that the 4 ants waiting for him were still the same 4 ants just now, so he was a little disappointed. However, Li Yuanba was not discouraged. After all, it was better for someone to come out to fight than to stand there for a long time without anyone daring to come over. Moreover, as long as the 4 of them were killed, the Dragon Emperor would definitely go out to fight in person. Thinking of this, Li Yuanba suddenly felt full of power, wielding the drum, urn, and golden hammer to kill Lu Buledin and the other four. Whether it is Li Yuanba's Wan Liyun, Lu Buledin's Red Rabbit, Zhao Yun's White Dragon Colt, or Huang Zhong's Liao Wenhuo, both sides are top-notch war horses with very fast speeds, and Dian Wei's running speed is not much slower than the war horses. So in a few breaths, the two sides rushed together. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 479. After Lu Feng's introduction, Lu Buledin and others already knew that Li Yuanba was very powerful. The pair of war hammers each weighed 400 kilograms, so they thought that he was holding such a heavy war hammer and was taking the power route. The speed must not be as good as his own. So the four of them used their speed to the extreme. Zhao Yun's spear stabbed Li Yuanba's throat instantly, Lu Buledin's Fangtian painted halberd slashed out from top to bottom, Huang Zhong's red blood knife stabbed Li Yuanba's heart, Dian Wei's iron halberd cut to Li Yuanba's leg. In this way, the four people attacked from four different angles. If they were ordinary generals, they would have to avoid it. Even if they didn't die, they would be beaten all over. However, Li Yuanba was still far superior to everyone else in terms of strength. In this flash of lightning, he showed his absolute speed in addition to strength. He raised the sledgehammer in his right hand upwards, blocking Lu Buledin's blow that could split him in half. Then the hammer moved downwards, knocking away Zhao Yun's spear and Huang Zhong's knife. The warhammer in his right hand went straight down and hit Dian Wei's halberds from bottom to top. Ding, 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 ding. After four loud noises, Li Yuanba easily killed the four of them together. Recruit to crack. And Li Yuanba's seemingly light blow not only showed his speed, but also his abnormal power. At this time, no matter it was Lu Buledin, Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, and Huang Zhong, all four of them felt that the arms holding the weapons were slightly numb, and even trembled uncontrollably. Only then did they truly know that Lu Feng was not lying to them. This Li Yuanba was indeed powerful. However, they were amazed, and Li Yuanba said easily, the four of you are stronger than Yuanba imagined, and you can still control the weapons in your hands. If you were a human, you might have thrown them out long ago. However, you have just come out, the move is over, now it's your turn, let's see if you can catch Yuanba's blow. After Li Yuanba finished speaking, without waiting for Lu Buledin and the other four to respond, he directly rode towards him. At the same time, the two swords in his hand, the sledgehammer was instantly swung out, hitting Lu Buledin and Dian Wei at the front. The two of them had no choice but to grit their teeth and come down. Lu Buledin held Fangtian's painted halberd across his chest with both hands, and Dian Wei held the two halberds together. Both of them concentrated all their strength on their hands. Bang! I 1/4 bang. After two loud noises, Dian Wei flew directly backwards. Although Lu Buledin was not hit, he and his horse took several steps back. At the same time, Li Yuanba continued to move forward, attacking Zhao Yun with his double hammers. And Huang Zhong came. Zhao Yun and Huang Zhong saw that Lu Buledin and Dian Wei, the strongest among them, were smashed in such a mess. They immediately had no idea of a euro continuing, but moved away from both sides. But Li Yuanba seemed to have already, as if with a premonition, the two hammers suddenly changed direction and continued to chase the two of them. In desperation, the two of them resisted with all their strength, but they also flew out like Dian Wei. At the same time, Li Yuanba continued without stopping. He rushed towards Dian Wei, who was lying on the ground and had not yet gotten up. Seeing this, Lu Buledin hurriedly held up Fangtian Huaji to block him. At the same time, Huang Zhong quickly stood up, put away the red blood knife, took out the Wan Xiao Bao, and pointed it at Li Yuanba. He shot 3 arrows in a row. Li Yuanba had just knocked Lu Buletin away when his heart suddenly jumped and he felt the threat of death. When he looked back, 3 sharp arrows flew towards him. Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things to read things, favorite, recommend. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 480. Li Yuanba has never lost a fight since he was a child. Even if he encounters thousands of enemy troops on the battlefield, he only needs to swing his hammers to knock down those bows and arrows. Therefore, he always believed that as long as he relied on the double hammers in his hands, all archers would not pose any threat to him, so he only respected those masters with strength and speed, but despised archers. In his opinion, archers can kill people only by sneak attacks. As long as they are prepared for bows and arrows, they will definitely be able to avoid them. However, at this moment, when the old man who had just been knocked away by his hammer picked up a bow and arrow and shot at him, Li Yuanba finally felt a feeling that he had never experienced before. He didn't know how to describe this feeling. It was like a rabbit being targeted by a wolf. Perhaps if his intelligence were higher, he would know that this feeling was called fear. But at this time, Li Yuanba had no time to think too much, because the 3 sharp arrows were already shooting towards him at high speed, and these 3 arrows were different from any bow and arrow he had seen before, because he felt that there was no way to avoid this arrow. So Li Yuanba reacted instantly. With his back to Huang Zhong, he actually twisted his body at an incredible angle, unfolded his 2 hammers, and firmly blocked the path of the 3 arrows. I 1/4, I 1/4, I 1/4. With 3 crisp explosions, Li Yuanba felt 3 bursts of huge force coming from his double hammers. He didn't expect that the veteran's bow and arrow was so powerful that he felt a strong vibration. However, he finally blocked the 3 fatal arrows and finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, Huang Zhongming did not stop. He endured the severe pain all over his body and the nausea that seemed to be mixed in his internal organs after being hit by Li Yuanba, and used 3 arrows with all his strength again. At this time, although these 3 arrows still put a lot of pressure on him, Li Yuanba had already turned around, and Huang Zhong's body could no longer hold on, so he could easily block these 3 arrows just now. At this time, Li Yuanba already knew that the bow and arrow in the hands of this white-haired veteran was far more threatening than the others, so he quickly rushed towards Huang Zhong, preparing to kill this dangerous person who might cost him his life. At this time, Huang Zhong had been internally injured by Li Yuanba's hammer. He had just shot 6 more arrows desperately, and his body had reached its limit. He could not avoid or resist Li Yuanba's hammer. However, Dian Wei had already stood up at this time. He took out 2 small halberds from his arms and threw them behind Li Yuanba. This halberd is one of Dian Wei's unique skills. He has great strength and the halberd he throws is extremely fast. Coupled with long-term practice, his accuracy is also extremely high. In the original world, because he joined Lu Feng's army relatively early, his martial arts had been improved, and he had never encountered masters like Xiang Lu Buletin or Zhao Yun in battles, so he had never used this small halberd's unique skills. But he never abandoned this technology. Seeing that Huang Zhong was in danger at this time, he didn't even think about it. He took out 2 small halberds from his arms and threw them at Li Yuanba. The muscle memory formed by long-term practice was like a computer with a fixed program turned on. Strength, the angles are perfect. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao.